Okay, Sheldon Richman has been the editor of the Freeman magazine for some 10 years now. The Freeman is arguably the finest libertarian publication in the movement. It's, of course, published by the Foundation for Economic Education. And I think Sheldon's been the second longest running editor of the Freeman since Fee took it over in the 1950s. He also serves as the senior fellow at the Future of Freedom Foundation and has contributed articles to our journal, Freedom Daily, since 1991. And it's been a monthly contributor and written op-eds for us for many, many years. He's actually the author of 3 of our books, Separating School and State, How to Liberate America's Families, which is the leading book in the libertarian movement on a total free market in education. Another book is Your Money or Your Life, Why We Must Abolish the Income Tax. And the third one is Tethered Citizens, Time to Repeal the Welfare State. One of the things that I have found about being in the libertarian movement for so many years is one of the great advantages of this is the friends that you meet along the way and that you make in this movement of people that share your same principles and your same perspective on life, same philosophy. And I can say that Sheldon is one of the greatest friends I've ever made in my life. It's just been a real treat to be able to interact with him and share ideas on liberty back and forth. I would say in all the years I've been in this movement, he would rank at the very top, number one, in terms of personal and ethical integrity, respect for the libertarian philosophy, refusal to compromise his principles. I hold him in the absolute highest esteem, and it's been an absolute joy working with him over the years. He's a former senior editor at the Cato Institute. His articles have been published in the Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, Chicago Tribune, USA Today, and many, many others. The title of his talk is War as Government Program. Please welcome Sheldon Richman.
Thank you all very much. Good morning. Being the disputatious person that I am, I really almost feel obliged to offer a rebuttal to the introduction. But the time is so short, I'm going to dispense with that. But if anybody wants to hear it out there later, during the break, I'd be happy to tell you. Let me just say, as a preface, back in August, I got a phone call. Of course, I speak at least, 3 or 4 times a day with Jacob. We have to be on the same cellular network so that we wouldn't run up, humongous bills talking to each other, because I live in Arkansas and he, of course, works in Virginia. So that's the reason. Sprint hates us for that reason. But he told me back in August he was planning to put on a conference on foreign policy. So I thought, okay, maybe he's going to do a one-day thing or a weekend, and then he started telling me, and I thought, well, here he goes off in some flight of fancy, some dream. He's going to put on how many days, and he's going to have who? All these names he's thinking of. Daniel Ellsberg. And I said, okay, I'll be as encouraging as I can be. Sign me up, obviously. But yeah, I had really wondered whether this was really going to happen. And then I'm getting progress reports from him. And then of course, we come here a few days ago, and wow. And all I can say is, and as I told him before, his Hero of the Revolution medal is being forged as we speak, because I envision a Nobel Prize style ceremony where this medal is placed around his neck, and along with $1 million. Because I'm almost speechless when I see what he's done and see everybody here and the lineup of speakers. It's awe-inspiring, and FFF is not a huge organization. It doesn't have a huge budget. It's just fantastic. And so anyway, I probably went on a little long, but I think I know you all understand this and agree with me. But I just wanted to say this out loud in front of everybody. I said it to him, but I want everyone else to hear it. Well, as a government program, it's a little daunting to speak to a group like this, okay? Please be a little sympathetic. It's not often I get to speak in front of a group that is as knowledgeable, as motivated, as interested in liberty, and as factually based in what's going on in the world as this group. So it's a little scary to think that I can say something you haven't heard before. But I'll try, and I hope it will hope it'll be interesting. But you know, it'd be a little easier to speak in front of a hostile group that didn't know a whole lot. Okay, so I'll just put that on the record too. Now, the title, War is a Government Program, of course, to this group is going to be a truism. It's going to be like, duh, you know, tell me something I don't know. But of course, a lot of people out there don't know it. And it's funny, even some people who say they're against this war, this current war, I've been criticized for even calling it a war, although I think we are making war on the Iraqi people. We, you know what I mean when I say we. I'm sorry if I slip into that. I agree with Bob Higgs, that is the most dangerous word in political discourse. We and words like that, right? We, them, us. So, I mean, George II, as I like to think of him, he's making war on the Iraqi people, but it's an occupation. But even people who don't like what's going on there still slip into things like the troops are serving their country, or they're protecting our freedom, or something like that. I hear Chris Matthews, for example, say this all the time, who claims to be against what's going on. But they still talk that way. I even wrote him an email about that, because I didn't get an answer. But and I'm not pointing to him as some great intellectual or anything of that nature. And you know, he's a journalist. Although he takes himself seriously, and he's written books about politics and Nixon and Kennedy and stuff like that. But look how easily people slip into that the troops are there, they answered the call of their country, they're serving their country. That very rhetoric, of course, is very damaging, which we need to work every day correcting. They're not serving their country. Now, they may think they're serving their country, but I'm talking objectivity now. I mean, the country did not call them and tell them to go to Iraq or Afghanistan. I mean, I'm part of the country. I don't remember getting on the phone and calling up anybody and saying, I'm part of the country, go to Iraq or go to Afghanistan. And I can't believe anyone else has. As far as I can tell, a small group of people, with Bush at the top, at least nominally at the top, did the calling and ordered people to go. That's not the same as the country, but people, of course, don't make a distinction between the country and the government, which, of course, is one of our top agenda items, right, is to get people to understand there's a huge distinction. I always think it's funny to hear conservatives complain, and they still complain in terms of Vietnam on this count, and they do it about Iraq, that the generals could win the wars if we just got the politicians out of the way. Okay, they always say things like that. Politicians are, subordinating the military to their own considerations. Political considerations seem to be coming ahead of military considerations, and it's like paraphrase of that old Pink Floyd song, right? Politicians, leave those generals alone. Yeah, it wasn't quite the spirit of the Pink Floyd song, which I thought was always a pretty libertarian song. Now, this is amusing for a couple of reasons. First of all, these same conservatives who say this claim to worship the Constitution, and the last time I read it, it did seem to subordinate the military to the civilian authority. That's just one minor point. I don't want to say a lot about that. I'm part of the Let's Get the Articles of Confederation Back caucus. I know Karen is... Karen declared that the other night, and I second that. I will concede that was a lot more government than I wanted, but I would take it as a transition program. The Anti-Federalists did leak, okay, as we say around FEE, they did leak, but there were small leaks compared to what we see in many places. Anyway, that's the first reason. The second reason is this complaint about the politics taking precedence over military concerns seems willfully blind to the nature of war. I mean, they don't seem to understand this. I mean, at its most fundamental level, war is no more a military phenomenon than it is a scientific